Somewhere beyond the curtain of memory, before the body, before the name, there was a moment of stillness, a vast, luminous silence, and in that silence, you chose. Not out of fear, not out of duty, but from a deeper knowing that cannot be spoken, only felt. The idea that you selected this life, with all its textures, the joy and the sorrow, the comfort and the chaos, is not merely a poetic notion. It is the remembrance of a truth etched into the folds of your soul. Dr. Brian Weiss, through thousands of past life regressions, came to understand what many ancient traditions whispered all along. We are not born as blank slates. We return again and again, guided by an inner compass, an eternal consciousness that seeks not comfort, but growth, not safety, but expansion. Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe. Can you sense it? That faint pull inside your chest, as if something is trying to reach through the veil to remind you. That pull is your own signature, echoing through lifetimes, seeking to awaken in you the remembrance. You are not a victim of fate. You are a conscious traveler through dimensions of learning. Before you took this body, before the very first cry of air filled your lungs, there was a council, not of judges but of guides. There was you in your purest form, without doubt, without fear. And from that space of radiant clarity, you looked at this life, its challenges, its opportunities, its pain, and you said, yes. You chose this life for what it would teach your soul, not for what it would give your ego. Why? Because the soul knows what the personality often forgets, that suffering is not punishment and joy is not reward. Everything is material for awakening. Every moment is an invitation to return to presence, to compassion, to truth. You didn't come here to avoid hardship. You came here to remember who you are in the face of it. Brian Weiss reminds us that through regression, people remember not only past lives but also the interlife, the space between incarnations. In that place we rest, we review, we plan. We reconnect with the souls who will walk beside us, sometimes as lovers, sometimes as adversaries, all as teachers. This is not random. This is the choreography of consciousness. Even those who hurt us deeply were once beside us in that timeless space, agreeing to play a difficult role, trusting that we would find our way back to love. The most painful experiences often conceal the greatest initiations, and sometimes a broken heart is the gateway to an awakened one. This life is not happening to you. It is unfolding for you, and ultimately, through you. You are both the sculptor and the stone. Each choice, each moment of presence shapes the sculpture of your becoming, and yet you are not alone in this unfolding. Your guides walk with you, not as external beings, but as frequencies that echo within your intuition, your dreams, your sudden knowings. Every time you've listened to your gut, every time you've felt that inexplicable sense of déjà vu, you've touched the edge of that deeper remembering. So, what if you stopped resisting your path and started listening to it? What if every experience, even the ones that broke you, were part of your soul's curriculum? Let this be the beginning of that remembrance. If these words touched your soul, subscribe to the channel. I know you'll love it. Before entering this world, you designed a map, not with streets and names, but with feelings, lessons, and possibilities. This map is not fixed, yet it carries the resonance of your soul's intention. It is the quiet blueprint beneath your daily life, gently nudging you through synchronicities, longings, and even losses. Imagine standing before your life, not as a participant, but as an architect. Can you feel the precision with which certain moments have unfolded? The way one encounter redirected your path, the way one heartbreak cracked you open, the way one whisper of intuition led you exactly where you needed to be. These are not coincidences. They are echoes of a plan written not in time, but in essence. Brian Weiss speaks of soul contracts, sacred agreements made before incarnation. These contracts are not legal bindings. They are invitations. They call you into experiences that will activate your dormant knowing, that will test the edges of your identity, that will soften the armor around your heart. And while some contracts bring beauty, others bring storms. But even the storms serve. The soul does not fear difficulty. In fact, it chooses difficulty with a kind of loving precision, not out of masochism, but out of understanding. The soul sees beyond this one lifetime. It recognizes that pain, when met with awareness, becomes transformation, that loss, when held with presence, becomes connection, that every trigger is a mirror, and every mirror is a doorway. And so you came. Into this body, into this family, into this culture, into these conditions. None of it is accidental. Even your name carries vibration. Even your birthday aligns with cycles. Even your fears are maps to hidden power. What looks random from the surface is deeply intentional from the soul's perspective. Consider this. The people who have shaped you most, did you choose them? And if so, why? What were they here to awaken in you? Perhaps the parent who couldn't love you was teaching you to love yourself without condition. Perhaps the friend who betrayed you was pushing you toward inner sovereignty. Perhaps the illness that halted your life was saving you from a deeper misalignment. Nothing is wasted. Not a single tear. Not a single silence. Not a single moment of confusion. All of it is being used. The universe is not punishing or rewarding. It is responding to the vibration you carry, the lessons you came to embody, the truth you agreed to remember. Sometimes remembering the blueprint feels like déjà vu. Other times, it feels like being pulled towards something you can't explain, a place, a person, a calling. These moments are not just accidents. They are breadcrumbs leading you back to your essence. You've been here before. You've met them before. You've spoken these words before. There is a part of you that never forgot, and it waits, patiently, for your permission to awaken. This blueprint is not static. You can alter it through choice, through awareness, through love. You are not locked into fate. You are in dance with it. Destiny is not control. It is collaboration. And when you align with your soul's intention, life begins to flow, not without pain, but with meaning. So ask yourself, what am I being invited to remember? What part of my life has felt orchestrated? What lesson keeps returning until I face it fully? Because your soul already knows. And it is guiding you always back to yourself. Time as we know it is not linear. It bends, folds, loops, echoing in spirals rather than straight lines. The soul travels not through a single lifetime, but through many, moving in cycles of healing and remembrance. What we call now is but a thin thread, woven into a much greater tapestry, colored by moments lived long before this body was born. Weiss discovered, through countless regressions, that what seems like irrational fear or unexplainable affinity often traces back to lives we've lived before. The panic that rises without cause, the connection to a stranger that feels ancient, the unshakable passion for something you've never studied, these are imprints. Vibrational memories carried forward not in the brain, but in the soul. Your soul is ancient. It remembers. It weaves unresolved patterns from past incarnations into this one, not to torment you, but to offer you another chance, another opportunity to choose love over fear, to choose forgiveness over resentment, to choose presence over escape. The circumstances may change, but the lesson remains until it is met with full consciousness. Have you ever noticed how certain challenges repeat in your life? Perhaps you always find yourself in relationships where you feel unseen, or in jobs that dim your light, or in cycles of abandonment, mistrust, or control. These are not flaws in your character. They are echoes from before. They are karmic invitations. Karma is not punishment. It is continuity, a return to balance. A sacred recalibration. It is the universe's way of helping the soul evolve by placing before you the very situations that offer growth, if you choose awareness. And when you finally break the cycle, when you respond differently, when you shift the pattern, the healing ripples backward and forward through time. The soul is liberated across lifetimes. It is said that before birth, we are shown glimpses of what we may face, the people, the pains, the lessons, and still we say yes. That is the courage of incarnation, not because we are certain we'll succeed, but because we know that every attempt, every intention matters. Even failure holds power. Sometimes the soul needs to fall in order to remember how to rise. Sometimes the wound must reopen so that it may finally heal from its roots. And sometimes the darkness is not an absence of light, but a preparation for it. When you begin to see life through this lens, through the lens of the soul, the ordinary becomes sacred. The difficult becomes meaningful. Every heartbreak becomes a rite of passage, every ending a return. And you no longer ask, why is this happening to me? But rather, what is this trying to awaken in me? Healing does not come through avoidance. It comes through presence, through the willingness to feel what was once suppressed, to witness what was once denied. And in that sacred witnessing, the past begins to dissolve, not because it is forgotten, but because it has been finally understood. And with every layer you shed, you draw closer to your essence, not the personality, but the luminous center within. That part of you untouched by time, unscarred by pain, unborn and undying. You did not come into this life to be perfect. You came to remember your wholeness even in the midst of imperfection. You came not to escape your humanity, but to embody divinity through it. That is the alchemy. That is the path. The cycles do not trap you, they teach you. And when the lesson is learned, the cycle dissolves. No soul travels alone. Before birth, in that luminous space beyond time, we gather. Souls who have danced with us across centuries, lifetimes, dimensions. Together we form constellations of intention, groups of beings bound not by blood but by vibration, by shared growth, by love that transcends form. Brian Weiss often found during past life regressions that those closest to us now, our parents, children, lovers, friends, and even enemies, were also present in our previous incarnations. They return again and again, playing different roles, helping us unfold what remains unresolved. These are not coincidences. These are orchestrated encounters of the soul. That intense familiarity you feel with someone you've just met. That sense of déjà vu in their eyes, in their voice. It's a soul memory, a recognition. The body may be new, but the essence is ancient. These connections are not always soft. Some arrive to challenge us deeply. Yet even those who bring pain serve a sacred purpose. They hold up mirrors so we may see what we are ready to face. Some souls come into our lives like fire, burning away what no longer serves. Others arrive like rain, softening, nourishing, restoring. Some stay for a moment, others for a lifetime. What matters is not the duration, but the depth. What did you awaken in each other? What chords were healed? What truths were remembered? Not every soulmate is a romantic partner. Soulmates can be friends, mentors, strangers on a train who say just what you needed to hear. They are the ones who ignite your growth, who remind you of who you are when you forget. They don't always bring comfort. Sometimes they bring disruption. But their presence is never random. There is also the idea of twin souls, being so deeply intertwined in vibration that they reflect each other's essence with piercing clarity. Meeting such a soul is often overwhelming. It cracks open the deepest parts of you. It demands that you see yourself without illusion. It is not always meant to be easy, but it is always meant to be transformative. In the interlife where souls rest and prepare, we agree to these roles. We choose each other with love, knowing the risks, the pain, the joy. We promise, I will find you. I will remind you. I will push you if you forget. And so when you meet them in this life, there is an echo, a magnetic pull, and a sense that your meeting was never an accident. But not all soul companions come in human form. Some arrive as animals, places, even moments in nature. A tree that calms your breath, an ocean that holds your grief, a mountain that teaches you silence. The soul recognizes what the mind cannot explain. And then, there are the ones who leave, those who depart too soon, those whose absence becomes a presence. Death, through the lens of the soul, is not an ending, it is a return. And those who leave this plane remain close, not as ghosts, but as light, as guidance, as love that no longer needs a body to be felt. Trust that those who are meant to walk with you will arrive, and those who are meant to leave will return when the time is right. Nothing real is ever lost. No connection forged in the soul ever fades. You are surrounded by allies, seen and unseen, and every encounter is sacred. There comes a moment, subtle, quiet, unmistakable, when the veil begins to thin. When something within you pauses, not out of confusion but recognition, a memory that does not belong to this lifetime rises, not as a story, but as a knowing. And in that knowing, everything begins to shift. You begin to see your life not as a sequence of random events, but as a spiral. Every choice, every encounter, every wound has led you here, not to define you, but to awaken you. To remind you of the deeper truth you once knew before entering this world, that you are more than this body, more than this story, more than this name. Weiss reminds us that healing comes not from adding something new, but from remembering what we have always been. You do not need to become anything. You only need to remove what is not you. The roles, the expectations, the inherited fears, all of it can be gently released. Beneath it all, you are already whole. This life you chose was never meant to be easy. It was meant to be real, alive, transformative. You came here not to escape your shadows, but to illuminate them. Not to deny your pain, but to alchemize it. Not to cling to certainty, but to surrender to the mystery. And as you begin to walk this path of remembrance, life responds. Synchronicities begin to increase. The right people arrive. The inner voice grows louder. Dreams become messages. Silence becomes sacred, and even suffering reveals its hidden wisdom. You may still doubt. That's part of the process. You may forget again. That's human. But each time you return to presence, to your breath, to the stillness within, you are tuning into the same frequency that chose this life in the first place, the frequency of your soul. The world may not understand this journey. It doesn't need to. The soul's path is not always visible to the eye. It is a quiet unfolding, like a flower blooming in the dark. It requires patience, trust, and a willingness to walk alone until you realize you never truly were. You are part of a great remembering, a wave of consciousness rising across the planet. Many are awakening now, not to a new idea, but to an ancient truth buried beneath distraction. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are exactly where you chose to be. So pause. Feel your breath. Place your hand on your heart. Let the silence speak. What is your soul asking of you now? Perhaps it is asking you to forgive, to release, to begin again. Perhaps it is inviting you to create, to speak, to serve. Or maybe to simply be, to feel what you've been avoiding, to honor what you've been hiding, to love what you were taught to reject. You chose this life, and that choice was not a mistake, even if it hurts, even if it's unclear, even if you feel lost. The soul does not seek comfort. It seeks expansion. And every experience has been guiding you toward the remembrance of who you truly are. You are not alone. You are never alone. And everything you need is already within you. This is not the end. This is the return. If these words touched your soul, subscribe to the channel and click on the video that just appeared on your screen. It was chosen especially for you. I know you'll love it.